I made a horror game about mushroom picking. And I've done it in just 3 days. Hi there, I'm Zenon. I'm a game developer that has been making games for over 10 years now. And recently, I really wanted to make a small game. In this video, you'll learn a couple of tricks which might be helpful when making your first game prototype. So without further ado, let's get started with day 1. So we want to create a video game. Well, first we need to really define what we actually want to work on. And that's a good moment to start with tip number 1, which is get the game working as soon as possible. What I mean by that is you shouldn't be focusing on making the best graphics or mastering one of the mechanics. You should first focus on actually making the gameplay. If you're gonna make your game in a way where you can playtest it easily, you're gonna actually be able to play your own game. And that's great, because while having fun and just playing it, you're gonna also want to work on it a bit more and you're not gonna run out of motivation that soon. I wanted to make a video game about collecting mushrooms. So of course, we need a mushroom and we also need a player that's gonna collect these mushrooms. So first off, I started by actually making a model in Blender. I am no modeler, so it was a pretty difficult task for me, yeah, I just kind of connected 2 cubes, made them smooth, and yeah, we have a mushroom. I even put a little bit of a texture on it, just so it slightly more resembles a mushroom right now. That's pretty nice. And when it comes to the player, I just snapped one from like my 17 other projects I have, because I just kind of have plenty, so I just picked one. After putting it all together, we just have a scene with a mushroom and a player, and that's kind of great, if you ask me. But as great as it is, you don't really have anything to do with this mushroom, so we need to add something to do with it. And I think that, you know, if you have a mushroom, you kind of gotta pick it up. So I added a pickup mechanic, so that you can actually pick up the mushroom. I also made this cute little hand in Unity using like 3 cubes, which looks very nice. Yeah, I mean, that kind of works, but if we want to make an actual game, we need a bit more. And here comes the idea of having good mushrooms and bad mushrooms. Just like in your life, if you eat a bad mushroom, you get poisoned. And if you eat a good mushroom, then, you know, it's good. So basically I divided mushrooms into good and bad. I made a couple of textures and yeah, now we have mushrooms. The only thing left to do was to just add some graphics because I kind of like them. I know I said to not do graphics, but at the same time, I don't really like looking at cubes. And also you probably wouldn't want to watch a video game that just cubes and plain white colors and stuff. So yeah, I just added textures. So it looks pretty nice. The last thing to do is actually to add the ability to spectate the mushrooms, because if we need to find if it has a weird pattern underneath or the stem is weird or something else, we actually need to be able to take a closer look. So I added the ability to spectate the mushrooms, and yeah, also I made a cute little animation for consuming them, so the player also can eat the mushrooms. Great! So right now we have a game which you can walk in and press E. So yeah, that's kind of cool, but we gotta make a bit more than that. Now we're gonna go to tip number 2. What you would normally do is try to come up with millions of other mechanics and things like that. But honestly, since this game is gonna be just about picking up mushrooms, and let's say you have a game which focuses on one mechanic, then my next tip would be to keep it simple, yet satisfying. If you have something that, you know, works, it's a mechanic, right? You can pick up mushrooms with E. You should try to make it a bit more satisfying, add something to it, you know? In my case, in my video game, it was simply adding a knife. Yes, adding a weapon to the game ultimately makes it like a million times better. And if you think about it, it makes sense. You could always just pick up a mushroom, that's fine, but at the same time, you can stab it and then pick it up. So I added stabbing into my video game with a nice animation, which is a bit more snappier and interesting than just pressing E. And yeah, that's sort of the thing. Honestly, at this point, it's already satisfying enough, so I can focus on other things. When it comes to an actual video game, you probably would like to have something like a goal, but like I said, I'm just trying to make something in 3 days for fun, so I didn't really focus on making a big goal. That's maybe an opportunity for like a second video. The only thing I really came up with was to just simply have a hunger mechanic, which will give the player a goal to not die out of hunger. Yeah, so we already have a video game, which is fun. You can cut mushrooms and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that at that point, it's time to hit the sack, because this day was already long enough. Lots of work was done, and it's time to move to day 2. I started by making the game a bit more pretty. I've added some nicer graphics, I've added a couple of mushrooms, and specifically I added sound effects. If you don't know, sound effects make a lot in a video game and you should definitely focus on them. It's really important. It not only adds a bit of a theme to your game, it also applies to how your game feels, on the overall atmosphere. So yeah, sounds are really important. Usually you should spend a lot of time working on the sound effects. Right now we have the core mechanic ready and it's pretty satisfying, especially with the new sounds. So the only thing that we're currently lacking is the actual horror mechanic, because like I said, I want to make a horror game and our horror lacks horror, so we gotta change that. And how do you change that? Well, you add a monster into it. That's pretty simple. So you might think that again I opened Blender and decided to do the difficult thing, which is to create something that looks like a monster. But that's already, well, high above my level of modeling. So what I did is just kind of... When it comes to his AI, I decided to give him 3 attacks. The first one is stalking, so essentially he will just look at you from afar and follow you wherever you go. If you've eaten too many mushrooms, he's gonna actually get real close and try to snap you and just kind of make you disappear. The second attack is actually staring at you, so he will kind of stand somewhere far away from you and just stare menacingly. And the last attack is the ambush, because I thought that the other attacks are just kind of, you know, working from far away, and the ambush is directly at you, so he just spawns from the ground and walks around a bit trying to find you. After making the enemy, which already works well enough, I decided to also add the needed polish, which is again adding some missing sounds, making some changes on the map, adding more stuff to do on it, adding menus, and with that comes the end of day 2 and we can move on to day 3.
1, 2, 3, 4!
So we're at the end. It's day 3. Now you might want to ask, what do we need to do today? Well, actually, not a lot. Honestly, I managed to do most of the work during the first 2 days, so the last day was just playtesting and checking if the game is fun. And the best part is that I am not really the only person that can play the game. You can also play it. It's out on itch.io. In the description of this video, you'll find a link. Give it a try, play it, leave a comment, and have fun. If there is anything interesting to keep for yourself from this video for future you making games, is that the hardest part of making the game is actually just committing to do it. It's very difficult to start, so if you want to make a video game, just start making it. You can pick any mechanic or anything that interests you and just make it the most fun thing in your game. Make it super satisfying. And trust me that other needed features will just come with you playing the game. That's why you have to playtest it. Again, like I said, the first tip, make the game as soon as possible. Make it playable so you can not only have fun, but also you can share it with your friends and just get more ideas out of it. That's everything from me. Make games, have fun, collect mushrooms. Bye.